eliminate systemic racism barriers that have prevented things like career advancement and expansion of scholarly pursuits within STEM. Eliminate systemic racism. Can I have the next slide, please? So we have invited a lot of our friends and colleagues to be a part of the conference. Started yesterday with Dr. Velma Scanterbury kicking us off, who was able to share with us some really great data and statistics, also about some activities, and relate that to her own personal journey as the first Black female transplant surgeon. In regards to her successes and achievements in STEM, and really to look at where we might be in terms of gender imbalance as well. We were able to most definitely hear from Dr. Vivian Jones and Dr. John Lewis, who we will hear from again today. So if you were able to attend one of the presentations yesterday, then you'll have an opportunity to do the next one today. And then we have the distinct pleasure of our closing plenary, Mr. Arthur Mitchell from the STEM Equity Alliance here in Pennsylvania would be able to share some thoughts and insights with us in regards to equity practices that are needed, some of what is already being done to help us continue to frame our work. Yesterday also we had some assistance from our NSF partners in terms of making sure that folks are aware of funding opportunities that are out there for people who want to continue to pursue their research interests. And they also shared with us some great insights in regards to other types of engagement that can occur, whether there are opportunities to work directly with NSF, there's opportunities to be on the flip side of that lens and be a program review officer. We'll continue to hear from our NSF partners again today while they feature some of their other programs and let us know what other opportunities might be out there to help folks connect in with so that they're able to explore their scholarly growth as well. Can I have the next slide? Yep. We also have a couple of folks who are helping us facilitate our racial healing circles, as well as our student presenters. This year, a change from what we did last year, we actually have some sessions where we will hear from students who are aspiring STEM researchers. They'll be presenting on their preliminary research topics that they're interested in, and hopefully, us being out there in the field already, we'll be able to provide to them some critical feedback in regards to next steps that they might need to be taking and how we might be able to encourage them to continue to persist. Because oftentimes we found that there's a lot of interest initially in pursuing STEM, and somehow our students along the way don't make it to graduation. Right? The same number do not make it to graduation. So something happens that either deters their interest in STEM or even in higher education as a whole. So we want to continue to encourage our students in that way. So some of our student presenters, you'll be able to see on the next slide. We heard from Rachel yesterday. Today we'll hear from Titi and Zanab. Titi is going to present on her research interest is along the lines of college student mental health crisis. So she'll talk a little bit about that with us. And Zanab is doing some really great work with one of our strategic partners. And she's actually investigating, doing a mechanical approach in terms of a particular gene. So she'll tell us a little bit about that. She has a poster presentation to share with us. Just to give you an idea of some of the things that we have planned for today, we will end this morning recap, this afternoon recap morning for some folks who are joining us from the West Coast. But we'll end this morning's recap and head back into our racial healing circles. Yesterday, we ended with racial healing circles. We got out into some smaller groups where we can have some really concentrated conversations in a safer space, I would say, because I'd like to think that we have created a very safe space here with this conference, but we'll get to be able to do some one-on-one and some really in-depth thought processing in our racial healing circles, continuing once we're finished with this recap. We are also, like I said, we'll hear from our folks from NSF. They'll feature some of their programs that we can pursue and might be able to help you through the Breaking Barriers Network to pursue. After which we will do a breakout into our research presentation, our featured research presentation, where we'll hear from Dr. Jones and Dr. Lewis. So you'd have an option there accordingly. Once we're finished with that, we'll have an opportunity to hear from our 2 student researchers. If time permits, we will try to see if we can go through a user case walkthrough in terms of if you have a research idea, how do you convert that research idea into an actual concept? NSF, for NSF funding in particular, they are very concerned about noting what's intellectual merit of your research idea and what's going to be the broader impact. So if we have some time, we most definitely would be able to hear from Dr. Green today, who can give us a walkthrough on those 3 important components. And then we'll close the day hearing from Mr. Mitchell, who will let us know a little bit about equity in STEM education and what are some of the actionable things that we need to be taking accordingly. Okay, so I'm not sure, Lauren, maybe you can help me. Can we continue with this stream, or do we need to break for a different stream?
I lost my mute button. No, we do actually need to jump to the separate Zoom. I'm going to add the link in the chat here where you can go and access the agenda with the stream links.
Yeah, because we've segmented this into various sessions, so that folks are able to hop in accordingly. We realize that these 2 days are very close up to holiday preparations for some folks, and there are some who are still trying to wrap up the end of their semesters, so this was a good format. Lauren has posted the link for the next session in the chat. So if you want to just click on that link and head over to the next session, then we'll do our breakouts for our racial healing circles.